I lost. Oh, the video is not good still with the. I lost. I lost the power apparently. I have a USB thing on the speaker up there, but apparently the speaker charger is not the best. At least it dropped out of power. So now I try to take the standard charger and see how that works out. Now it doesn't work as good as in some sense as the old chargers, which just charge at the same rate in some sense, while this smart charging, when it's opened, like a screen and all that, it slows charging down to 500 milliamps. And my old mobile, just ran pretty much the same rate. Even if you had it lit on or not lit on, it would just charge the same rate. Of course, it was slowed down in regards of the last part, but of course these new smart chargers, so-called smart chargers, are only smart when the screen is actually closed down. So then it can get to 2,500 milliamps or something like that, and so you need to turn off the screen. And of course, when you put the plug in the mobile, it will lit the screen. I have no idea why it does that. Just why does it? Yeah. But anyway, so you need to just close down the screen anyway. Now, well, get back to so this book, that would be the so-called Nazarene Acts of the Apostles. I'm not sure why they call it that. Again, the question is if it actually works now that or if I need to get into something that actually can turn the screens. So they call it the Nazarene Acts of the Apostles, or the Recognitions of Clement. And it has some of the things that is not in it from the other one that was not translated in the recognition apparently. And so that's from the homilies from the Clement of what do you call it? Clement's homilies. It's called the other one. So they took that, what they thought was actually had been removed from the recognition, and they have it as in the back of the book and all that. But I think this is actually, I would probably find a good translation on the, and I'm thinking of doing that actually instead of having a book, because when you have a book and you have some words you don't understand in Hebrew, you should be able to look them up in the book. But no, not all. No, that's not how it works apparently in this book. So, and it uses Latin numbers as well. Why? Why would you use Latin numbers? That's just the worst. Yeah, anyway, but it has interesting stuff for sure. But as I understand it from a scholarly perspective, not my scholarly perspective, but scholars, that this is they accept it from being an Ebonite source. So that's interesting, because that's then some of the, and it's also confirmed that they actually use this. They used the book of Matthew in a Hebrew version according to the medicine chest, which I can't remember what it's called, and I can't remember the guy's name, Ephesius, or anyway, he's right about it, that they're using some book of Matthew, and they're using some other books as well, and one of the books should apparently be this one in regards of recognition of Clement, or something like it, at least very close to it, it seems, and yeah. So again, still being so close to the real source and all that, there's still a lot of interesting material. So that's for sure. In regards of demons and all that, also in regards of food sacrifice to false god, why is it defiling us, and how is it defiling us? What is going on when we're defiling ourselves and so forth? So this book goes into it, why we shouldn't eat food sacrificed to false gods. That would be like Mohammedan halal meat. Here, let's see if we can take some here. This is one of the places. But Kepha, that would be Peter. most benignantly regarding me, lest the separation might cause me sorrow, says to me, "It is not from pride, O Clement, that I do not eat with those who have not yet been purified, but I fear I might injure myself and do no good to them. For this I would have you know for certain, that everyone who has at any time worshipped idols and has adored those whom the pagans call gods, or has eaten of the things sacrificed to them, is not without an unclean spirit." So, in regards of eating and all that, that's another thing, but I don't know what about, but I don't think that's, they're in this book, they're talking about, Peter, those that have been baptized eat, but they are not allowed to eat with others and so forth, because I'm not sure about, but in any case, it's still interesting to see why, or has eaten of the things sacrificed to them, is not without an unclean spirit, for he has become a guest of demons, and has been partaker with that demon, of which he has formed the image in his mind, either through fear or love. And by these means he is not free from an unclean spirit, and therefore needs the purification of the baptism, that the unclean spirit may go out of him. But in any case, may go out of him, which has made its abode in the inmost affection of his spirit, and what is worse, give no indication that it lurks within, for fear it should be exposed and expelled. So it talks for these unclean spirits, that would be demons or fallen angels, according to the Bible, love to dwell in the bodies of men, that they may fulfill their own desires by their service, and inclining the motions of their spirits to these things that they themselves desire, may compel them to obey their own lusts, that they may become holy vessels of demons, and so forward. So they talk about demons and all. The thing is, in the New Testament, there's so much more you would like to know in regards of demons and why. It seems like that Jesus, of course, being God, knew everything. And you would think that the disciples would know a lot of these things as well, right? In regards of demons. Didn't I actually have 4 places? I can only find 3 places. Oh yeah, that was in regards of talking about that there might be a 4th place as well. Here's another place here. And we also know from the Old Testament, there are some sources as well I found. And actually it was a so-called rabbi, I found it on the webpage, and just, many of the places I've seen myself. But, reading all the sources, one of them is, I think it's, in regards to the Psalms, it's pretty clear that don't eat things sacrificed to false gods. But we see it also being talked about, and also Daniel and so forth, that don't want to defile himself by eating the king's meat or drinking his wine. And the question is, it doesn't seem like Daniel is not drinking wine, but the thing is either that maybe there was some blood in the wine, or that it has been sanctified to a false god. I'm not sure which one. Maybe some history could help on that, but I've seen seen different things, but it doesn't look like that Daniel didn't drink wine. It was just he didn't drink wine from from this. Let's see. This is in regards of, and therefore it is necessary for you who are of the Goyim, that would be the nations, to partake yourself to Jehovah, and to keep yourself from all uncleanness, that the demons may be expelled, and Jehovah may dwell in you. That would be by the Holy Spirit. And at the same time, by prayers, commit yourself to Jehovah, and call for his aid against the impudence of the demons. Impudence. I'm not sure. Impudence? Let's just look at that. See if we can find a little impudence. Impudence. That's some big words, when you read. But of course today it's you have these programs where you can look things up, and really helps a lot. If I should sit with a book and all that, it would, I can't. Anyway, an impudent statement, cheek in petition, source. The trait of being rude and impertinent, inclined to take liberties, cheekiness, crust, freshness, gal. Okay, that's some words to look up. But okay, let's see if we can. There we go. Little low. Oh yeah. Okay. And whatever things you ask, believing you will receive, but even the demons themselves in proportions as they see faith grow in a man, in that proportion they depart from him. That at least there's something about and let's see here. It talks about something in regards of the closer we get in regards of abiding to Jehovah's law, the less in some sense, if we do what Jehovah wants us to do, even if we are just humans, that we, get in some sense get power over the demons by our doing what God wants us to do in regards of keeping Torah. Now, I don't know, but that's what some of the things goes in regards to the book. So, not saying this is true or not, but it's something that yeah, let's see here. But when either the mind falls into impiety or the body is filled with immoderate that's in regards of immoderate, talking about in regards of demons. But we know the demons are out there. The question is, what is doing that we actually open the doors to them. And in regards of my occult days, the one thing that I did to open the doors was, actually committing sin in regards doing things that the Bible says I shouldn't do. So yeah. Let's see here. And of course, in regards to the Bible, every time we sin in regards of God, that is a bad thing. It seems to have consequences, right? So here we have something about the demons also. But they are not concealed from us, that is the demons, who know the mysteries of the creation, and for what reason it is permitted to the demons to do those things in the present world, how it is allowed them to transform themselves into what figures they please. And you see them deceiving people, like coming as an old, as a dead person, and coming as a spirit guide or whatever, dead family member, and to suggest evil thoughts and to convey themselves by means of meat and of drink consecrated to them. So not only meat, according to this, also drink consecrated to them. And we know Daniel didn't want to drink that wine. Now, I don't know if it was because, again, if it was consecrated to Nebuchadnezzar's false god, of God, his god, whatever pagan god. I think he had one primary god, I think, and of course, if it was consecrated to that god, or which could be very likely, or if there was blood in the wine, little blood put in the wine. But anyway, at least Daniel didn't want to defile himself with it. And again, it would be nice to know in regards of what defilement actually does, if it actually just opens up to demons, which, maybe. Anyway, into the minds or bodies who partake of it, and to concoct vain dreams to further the worship of some idols. Yeah, they can do things as well. And in regards of Roman Catholicism, I think the demons have a masterpiece. It's Satan's masterpiece of deception. It's very sad. But anyway. So that was one more place, and that was in regards of consecration. And I think there was another place, but again, that's only one I found again. So here we have another place. No, that's maybe not. Maybe it's the next. Anyway, this is in regards of false prophets and false apostles and false disciples, where it talks about, Satan talked about this according to the Master, to Jesus. Let's see, and he terrified by this. Okay, let's see. Therefore, our master, that would be Jesus, confirming the worship of one Jehovah, answered him, "It is written, you will worship Jehovah, your Elohim, and him only will you serve." And he terrified, that would be Satan, he terrified by this answer, and fearing lest the true obedience of the one and true Jehovah should be restored, hastened straightway to send forth into this world false prophets and false apostles and false disciples, who would speak indeed in the name of Moshiach, but should accomplish the will of the demon. See? So Satan, Jesus said, that, they would, false apostles would come and so forth. And here we get something in regards of some more information on that, and they come in the name of Mashiach. They come in the name of Jesus Christ. So they talk about, so observe the greatest caution that you believe no teacher, unless he bring from Jerusalem the testimonial of Yaakov, Jeshua's brother, or of whoever may come after him. So it seems like some of these sources must go real, back, because in regards to James would have been from the 1st century. So again, it is interesting for sure. Some of the information, and again, some of the information you just think they couldn't have known this without actually walking with Jesus or someone really close to Jesus. But again, then there are also issues in this book for sure. But again, if it comes from an Ebonite source, as they believe it does, and seems to actually agree, in regards of having issues with some of the things in the Bible. They have a topic on that in this book, and I think that is verified by one of the Christian so-called fathers in regards to the medicine chest that they have some problems with. They think there are corruptions in the Torah and all that. But again, this is the Ebonites, not the Nazarenes. But that would be a pointer that this is maybe from the Ebonites material. But again, even if it is from Ebonites that have different false doctrines and so forth, that is not to say there isn't any truth in it, because again, when a group grows out from another group, they still take a lot of the doctrines from the old group, because they were part of the old group. So they still have a lot of... So anyway, let's see here. And actually here we have something in regards of the commandments given to the Gentiles. But the ways in which this garment that is in regards to the mikveh, they're talking about the baptism, it's like a unspotted garment and all that should be kept pure. But the ways in which this garment may be spotted are these: if anyone withdraws from Jehovah, the Father and Creator of all, receiving another teacher besides Moshiach, besides Messiah, who alone in the faithful and the prophet of truth, and who has sent us 12 apostles to preach the word. If anyone think otherwise, then worthily of the substance of Jehovah, which excels all things, these are the things that even fatally pollute the armor of the baptism. So the baptism is described before this, that it's like and that we should give the wedding garments, that is the favor of the baptism, which whosoever obtains as a spotless robe, with which he is to enter to the supper of the king, ought to be aware that it is not in any part of it stained with sin, and so he be rejected as unworthy and reprobate. But anyway, that's what they're talking about here, and we'll continue here. So they're talking about that even fatally pollute the armor of the baptism here in regards of... but the things that pollute it in actions are these: murders, adulteries, hatreds, avarice. I'm not sure what avarice is. Avarice? Let's see, avarice. Oops. Reprehensible, questionnaire, covetousness. Oh, greed. Okay, greed. Extremely greed for material wealth. Okay. How do you say it?
Avarice.
Avarice, okay, avarice. Avarice and evil ambition, and the things that pollute at once the spirit and the body are these: to partake at the table of demons. And we also have Paul talking about one place, you know. Yeah, we have all the other places where he pretty much promoted, you know, and says, oh yeah, we have this understanding, so no problem, just eat, you know, without any, don't ask about it when you buy it at the market. You know, if some pagan comes and invite you to eat, well, just go with him and don't ask about, you know. But if someone says, you know, then don't eat it, not because of your own sake, but because of his sake. And, oh, don't be spotted in the temple, you know. What would you do in the pagan temple anyway, eating sacrificed meat, sacrificed to false god, you know? Because, you know, if you're spotted by one of these from Jerusalem, you know, from one of these weak brothers, he may, you know, he may eat of it as well, and he may be weak, and oh, he's really spinning it, that Paulus, you know. Anyway, and the things that pollute at once the spirit and the body are these: to partake of the table of demons, that is, to taste things sacrificed, or blood, or a carcass that is strangled, and if there be aught else that has been offered to demons. Maybe the word offered, maybe it's also more in regards of sanctified, because we see other, you know, we saw the other place, for example. So if there be aught else that has been offered to demons, in regards of offered, oh yeah, offered, okay, offered. That could be seemingly everything, it seems, offered to demons. If something has been offered to demons, it might be polluted. It seems like that's the... But this, therefore, and that's why I wouldn't ever take the so-called cookie Jesus, because, you know, it's not biblical, you know. But this, therefore, the first step to you of 3, which step brings forth 30 commands, and the second 60, and the third 100, as we will expound more fully to you another time. So, according to this, the Gentiles, these are actually 3 of the commandments are pretty much, actually, yeah, 3 of the commandments is pretty much the same in the commands in the book of Acts. But, let's see. Yeah, murders, adulteries, hatreds, avarice, and evil ambition. Yeah, and the things that pollute at once the spirit and the body are these: to partake at the table of demons. Yeah. Wasn't there? Okay, there's... okay, yeah, to taste things sacrificed, or blood, or carcass that is strangled. That is like 3 commandments out of the 4 commandments in the book of Acts. The book of Acts also have in regards of whoring, or fornication, or adultery. I can't remember the Greek word here, if it's actually adultery or whoring, the word for that. But at least 3 out of the 4 commandments for the book of Acts. That sounds pretty interesting, I would think, that it just mentions those 3. But here it sounds like that, you know, that these are the beginning. These are the beginning rules, and then it seems like, you know, that the disciples of Christ should grow, according to this book anyway. And also in regards to the book of Acts, it just doesn't sound to me that, oh, you lose salvation if you keep the commandments of Jehovah, you know. So that's pretty much... Oh yeah, there's some interesting things in regards of Paul in this book as well. Now again, it's an outside source, but it is interesting that it seemingly was a book that was used by the Ebionites. So it's just here we see. But his friendship is secured by living well and by obeying his will, which is Torah of all that live. You know, it's called Torah. Torah. Also, we have in regards of, there's some really good things in regards of the Torah, where you, for example, the burning bush actually says that this is actually Jesus. And I would think as well that that's Jesus standing in the burning bush. But, you know, just they themselves have conclusions that is, just wonderful, just wonderful. And to me, it seems like that, the book actually says that Jesus is God, but still they try to not to, because it seems like they have used material, that was authentic, but then have, put their own ideas into it, that's, but, where is it? Because they have this, there's this, where is it? Oh, here we go. There is this story or information about them that they are actually talking in the temple with the leaders in Jerusalem and all that. And also the 12 apostles, not including Paul, but 12 apostles, which doesn't include Paul. Actually, the one that was chosen is actually getting some lines to speak. And not Paul, because there was only 12 apostles, not 13. But anyway, this is what is written afterwards. They have had a discussion, or James has convinced the people in some sense, but then an enemy comes and do a lot of things. And when matters were at that point that they should come and be immersed, baptism, that's after James, the brother of Jesus, have talked like 7 days in a row where he has, lectured them from the scriptures and all that. Someone of our enemies entered the temple with a few men, began to cry out and to say, "What mean you, O men of Israel? Why are you so easily hurried on? Why are you led headlong by most miserable men who are deceived by Shimon, a magician?" Which is, it's a lie. It's a directly lie, of course. But who, we would not expect anything else by this character and this man. And you will know who it is later on. While he was thus speaking and adding more to the same effect, and while Yaakov, that would probably, same, it's tumult and more lies and whatever. And while Yaakov, the Mavikra, I think the leader, something like that, the head of the group in some sense, was refuting him, he began to excite the people and to raise a tumult, so that the people might not be able to hear what was said. Therefore he began to drive all into confusion with shouting, and to undo what had been arranged with much labor, and at the same time to reproach the priest, and to enrage them with revilings and abuse, and like a madman to excite everyone to murder, saying, Why do you hesitate, O sluggish and inert? Why do we not lay hands upon them and pull all these fellows to pieces? When he had said this, he first seizing a strong brand from the altar, set the example of smiting, and you're standing in the temple. So then others also seeing him were carried away with like readiness. Then ensued a tumult on either side of the beating, and the beating much blood is shed. There is a confused flight in the midst, which that enemy attacked Yaakov. That enemy. In regards of the book of Matthew, if they read the book of Matthew in Hebrew, they would also have the same thing in regards of the enemy that Jesus was talking about. And then they have this book in regards to the Ebionites. So the Ebionites is said to have this book and the book of Matthew in Hebrew. So that enemy would, point to, I think, the same enemy in regards of the book of Matthew, which comes to sow the bad seeds. But anyway, in the midst of which that enemy, and it's not, there's no name or anything. It's just, I think if they actually pointed a name on him, that might have been a censor thing or something like that. Probably a lot of things have been censored that are deleted through history that would have exposed him. But anyway, in the midst of which that enemy attacked Yaakov and threw him headlong from the top of the steps, and supposing him to be dead, he cared not to inflict further violence upon him. Okay. Yepsy-depsy. So let's take the next page here. So See here. But our friends lifted him up, and they were both more numerous and more powerful than the others. But from the fear of Jehovah, they rather suffered themselves to be killed by an inferior force than they would kill others. So this seems to be, going through in regards to the teaching of Jesus, right? We are not to kill others or hurt others, or then would kill others. Yeah, okay. So they suffered, to be hurt, and then to begin to, push back in some sense. But when the evening came, the priest shut up the temple, and we returned to the house of Yaakov, and spent the night there in prayer. Then before daylight, we went down to Jericho to the number of 5,000 men. Now, the question is, of course, when they did these things and all that. Doesn't really say when it is. And when the Romans should probably be before 70, I would think, 80. Because, the Romans came to destroy the temple and all that. Of course, I don't know. Anyway. The temple is there, yeah, so it has to be before 70 because the temple was destroyed 70 AD, so, or very close to that timeline anyway, so it has to be before that. Then before daylight, we went down to Jericho to a number of 5,000 men, so that must be 5,000 believers in Jesus. Then after 3 days, one of the brothers came to us from Gamaliel, whom we mentioned before, bringing to us secret tidings that enemy had received a commission from Caiaphas, the Kohen HaGodel, the high priest, that he should arrest all who believed in Yeshua, and should go to Damascus with his letters, and that there also, employing the help of the unbelievers, he should make havoc among the faithful, and that he was hastening to Damascus, chiefly on this account, because he believed that Caiaphas had fled hither. And about 30 days thereafter he stopped on his way while passing through Jericho, going to Damascus. At that time we were absent, having gone out to the sepulchres of 2 brothers, and that were widened of themselves every year, by which miracle the fury of many against us were restrained, because they saw that our brothers were held in remembrance before Jehovah. So, who is this guy? Well, he goes to Damascus. Who was persecuting the believers? The first Inquisition. Who was also according to the book of Acts? According to the book of Acts, who made the first Inquisition of the Christians? Who persecuted them first? That was Shaul. Who is this guy going to Damascus with letters from Caiaphas? I'm actually not sure if the book of Acts actually talks about it actually getting letters from Caiaphas, or who it talks about. But I think from this writing, in any case, it seems to be no, it seems to be no brainer in some sense, if you know the New Testament, to know who this guy is, that and actually exclaiming him to be that enemy. And then you go back to the parables of Jesus Christ that talks about an enemy coming to sow that the lawless seeds. And Paulus later on is what? Sowing seeds, right? Sowing congregations and so forward. And apparently there's some conflicts between, there's some conflict going on, and we don't have all the pieces for it. We don't have all the puzzle pieces. That's for sure. But we have here and there and so forth. And but anyway, so that was one more source in regards of sources outside the Bible about Paulus. And of course, I don't have the medicine chest, sadly, and I can't remember what it's called. And I probably can't find the information, but let's see. Yeah. But I know it's called the medicine chest, I think, in regards of medicine chest. Still dark. Medicine. It's called Panarion or something like that. I'm not sure if that's Greek or what it is. Yeah, Epiphanius of Salamis, the Panarion. Yeah, the medicine chest, and it composed 374 to 7. So that's not actually far away from. But after the Nicene, where they apparently, they make a lot of heretics apparently and put the Nazarenes in the heretic category, and the whole seems to have become more powerful. The whole system becomes more and more this church system, and begins to this. I've read history where where you hear of persecution and all that, and that should be something in regards to the Nazarenes and that, well, there is in the book, but again, I don't have I should probably find it and print the pages out where it is about it. Epiphanius of Salamis, the Panarion, the medicine chest against the heresies. And again, how can you call the Nazarenes heresies when they are the first believers? That doesn't make sense. That just doesn't make sense at all. Now, I'll see if I can find in the book of Acts where Paulus, Shaul persecutes the church. When the church, the Catholic Church, Romanism, and of course Paulus was a Roman as well. Roman Pharisee. Paulus was a Roman Pharisee. And let's see here. Where is it in regards of Paulus? Oh, here we have something. But Shaul was ravaging the assembly, that would be the believers, entering every house and dragging men and women. That's Acts 8, and dragging off men and women, putting them in prison. Oh. So we have just some verification that Shaul was persecuting the first believers in Jerusalem. Then those who had been scattered went everywhere bringing the good news, the word. So they're bringing the good news of Jesus Christ. And being down to the city of Shomeron, Philippus proclaimed Messiah to them. Okay, but anyway, we want to find the place where he gets to... Okay, oh yeah, here. Acts 9. But Shaul, still breathing threats and murder against the Talmudim, that would be the disciples of the Lord, having come to the Kohen HaKodel. Yeah, okay, so that would be, according to the other story, that would be Caiaphas, I think it says, asked him letters to the congregations of Damascus, or Damascus, so that if he found any who were of the way, that was the first believers was called the way, or the Nazarenes, but anyway, of the way, whether men or women. Also we have a document in regards to the way we should go and not the way we should go. Anyway, in regards of, that is I'm getting tired here. Maybe it's the radiations from the mobile. Okay, and the way, whether men or women, to bring them bound to Jerusalem. And it came to be that as he journeyed, he came near Damascus, and suddenly a light flashed around him from the Shamayim. And then we have this miracle story. And we actually have 4 stories of those. And I'm not sure how we can, but apparently Paul sees something or hears something or whatever. Apparently he believes that he is called to preach. The question is if this gospel is actually agreeing with the true apostles. But anyway, of course, Jesus said the bad seed should grow up with the lawless seed. So you pretty much need to have the lawless seeds master in some sense in the New Testament, I would think, to actually be able to give some authority to it. So, and of course, we know, of course, Satan would send his own apostles. So that was in some sense 2 sources, 3 sources, but I never read the third source. You can do that for yourself. But I have one more. That is a Jewish source. That's also interesting. That of course in the book of Acts. If you compare the book of Acts with the so-called Nazarene book of Acts, so you can see. But the book of Acts in the Nazarene said it was high priest Caiaphas, but in the book of Acts it just said the high priest. So anyway, we have, where is the last one I had? Oh yeah, here we go, maybe. Yep. Okay. So we had Marcion in regards of seeing Paul only having the true lawless gospel. So you see, it's very deceptive. It's very, very, very deceptive, you know. Gospel with law, gospel without law. Big, huge difference. That is not to say that we are saved by well, we are, you know, by keeping the law, we actually find Jesus, because we are told to love, and we are to get as close as we can. So I think the more we can keep of the law and study and so forth, the better. Because the easier it is to get Satan off our backs in some sense. Now, of course, I could be wrong, so you shouldn't trust my conclusions and all that. You should do your own research. And again, it's I've been wrong before, but this is just some of the findings I found. This is a Jewish source that is said to be read every single year by some Jews. And there's little different versions as I understand it, but I haven't read the others. I've just read this. I've seen where they only had it in Hebrew, so people wouldn't read it. So, you know, of eyes that shouldn't. But anyway, this is about Paulus again, or Shaul. The thing is, we have Paulus again, and the thing is, the Jews have issues. According to this document, this document pretty much just verifies that Jesus could do miracles, that he did what he did and all that. But they make him into, they say it's because he knew the name of Jehovah. He knew the name of God and so forth. But it verifies a lot of things that he actually did, which is interesting. But they turn it around, flipping it around. Anyway. Here we have it. The erring followers amongst Israel said, "You have slain the Messiah of the Lord." That would be the Christians, right? The Jewish Christians, most likely, and whoever wanted to follow along at that point. The Israelites answered, "You have believed in a false prophet. There was endless strife and discord for 30 years. So for 30 years, according to this, 30 years in Israel, and of course the Jews should know because they were there, but anyway, 30 years, according to this document, that was issues between the Jews in regards of, was Jesus the Messiah or was he not the Messiah? And now think about it, Jesus was around, so everybody knew he was around. You know, they would most likely have known about it at that point because it's so close to the heat in some sense, to the center point when Jesus was here. So they would probably, people would probably know about these things, heard about these things, and taken a decision on it. So 30 years there's discord between the Jews, and of course when you go to, in some sense, there's still a discord. You know, you can you can find this so-called rabbi, where he's like, wow, he's really heating up in regards to the Jewish Christians. Oh, they don't like that. Oh boy, they don't like that. Anyway, the sages, that would be the top Jews, decide to separate from Israel those who continue to claim Yeshua. And I'll say Yeshua, but they say Yeshu, which is a short acronym for may his name be obliterated or blotted out. It's not really sweet, so it's Yeshua. Anyway, as the Messiah. So the sages, we take it again, the sages decide to separate from Israel those who continue to claim Yeshua as the Messiah, and they called upon a great learned man. Now, they have the wrong name here, and they actually explain that later on. I'm not sure why they would use this name, but they use Simeon Kepha, so they use, Peter in some sense, but it's not Peter. But sometimes you do weird things and all that we Gentiles don't understand, and they have these weird doctrines. But anyway, so called upon a greatly learned man. Now, was Paul a greatly learned man? Yup. Was Simon Peter a greatly learned man? No, he was a fisherman, right? So it doesn't fit Simon. But we also are told later on that this is not Simon. But again, why they did it, I'm not sure. Maybe it's, again, sometimes they have these weird doctrines, these weird ways of doing things. But anyway, they called upon a greatly learned man. And if anything, Paul was a greatly learned man. For help, Simeon went to Antioch, main city of the Nazarenes, and proclaimed to them, I am the disciple of Yeshua. He has sent me to show you the way. I will give you a sign as Yeshua had done. Now, in regards of the truth in these documents, again, take it as it is. But, we still have the Bible to still stand on and all that. But still interesting information that we have in regards of these things. Anyway, Simeon, which would be Paul, or Shaul, or Paulus actually, Shaul, having gained the secret of the infallible name. Here we have the infallible name. You can read where they actually support that Jesus did miracles and all that. So they don't reject that. It's funny enough, in some sense, not funny, but it's they don't reject that Jesus did miracles. I think they also talk about Jesus actually walking on the waters and all that. And I actually heard a Jew talking about he walked on the water where the stones from the Torah was underneath, and I don't know about that, but in any case, so they don't reject that he did these things. They just confirm that he did, but they think he's a magician, or that he knew the infallible name of Jehovah and so forth. They talks about him healing, and I think also in regards to the walking on water and all that. So just confirming the things that we already know, but from a source that is not, so. The thing is, if Jesus wasn't, that's the thing, when people say Jesus wasn't a real historical person and all that, well, why would his enemies, do everything that, curse him, this and that and all that, but never just say, well, he didn't exist, It would just be easier to just say, hey, he never existed, but they couldn't, because he did exist. And of course we have sources on... we have sources on... What am I thinking about? Oh yeah, we have sources on Jesus being hanged on the eve of Passover as well. We have a lot of sources. They have a lot of sources, the Jews. They just, at some point, they just going to turn around, and hopefully, should turn around at some point. Anyway, Shaul, having gained the secret of the infallible name, healed a leper and a lame man by means of it, and thus found acceptance as a true disciple. He told them that Yeshua was in heaven at the right hand of his Father in fulfillment of Psalm 110:1. Well, that would actually be true. That would be a Christian doctrine. That would be true. He added that Yeshua desired that they separate themselves from the Jews and no longer follow their practices. Now here we're getting into trouble. As Isaiah has said, your new moons and your feast my soul abhorred. They were now to observe the first day of the week instead of the seventh. The resurrection instead of the Passover. The ascension into heaven instead of the feast of weeks. The finding of the cross instead of the new year. The feast of the circumcision instead of the day of atonement. I'm not sure. I know I asked a Catholic guy I have on Facebook and talked about, and he said, yeah, it seems to agree that this is Catholic practices and all that. And well, I don't know. I don't know all the Catholic practices and all that, but he seemed to say, yeah, that's some of the Catholic practices. The feast of circumcision instead of the day of atonement. The new year instead of Hanukkah. I would never keep Hanukkah in any case. It's not in the Torah. But anyway, they were to be indifferent with regard to circumcision and the dietary laws. Also, they were to follow the teaching of turning the right if smitten on the left, and the meek acceptance of suffering. Well, that's if someone strikes you on the one cheek, you should turn him to the other cheek as well. That is biblical. So you have some true things here, and you have some things that some true doctrines of Christianity, but anyway. All these new ordinances, which, and then it says Simeon Kepha, and then it says in parentheses, or Paul, as he was known to the Nazareans. That would be Paulus, Shaul, taught them, apparently, maybe they think that Simeon Kepha is actually Shaul, that was his real name. I don't know, but our sources says he was called Shaul, not Simeon Kepha. Maybe they believe that he was actually his real name was Simeon Kepha. That might be also. But anyway, they know it's Paul we were talking, or Paul as he was known to the Nazareans. Taught them were really meant to separate these Nazareans from the people of Israel and to bring the internal strife to an end. I don't know how much truth there is to this, but it would make sense, wouldn't it? You have Christians in Judah, in Israel, now in total conflict about the Messiah question, if Jesus is the Messiah or not. You see the same conflict as well in the book of the Nazareans. What do you call it? The so-called book of Nazareans. But you see the same thing where they have this thing, and the leaders end up inviting them to the temple to stand. We are going to find out if this is the Messiah or not. Are we going to, because there's this division, and the leaders at some point seems to, either we accept it or we don't, and there in the story is Paul again destroying the things where the leaders actually ends up accepting the arguments that is presented that Jesus is the Messiah, yet before they get baptized, Paul is then coming on the field and pretty much make a havoc out of things, and then he gets the letter from the high priest and goes to go out to persecute them. And the book of Acts also talk about persecution. So of course it makes sense there would be a lot of things going on, and but I wonder if the Jews actually believed that Paulus was named Simeon Kepha. And it's actually not talked, because Simeon, I was thinking Simeon Kepha sounds like it was, talking about Peter. But maybe they think it's actually another guy maybe it's actually, Yeah, maybe they think it's actually his name, Simeon Kepha. I have no idea where they get the information, but it's a Jewish source. So, and as I understand it, the Jews was actually persecuted because of this little document. And I've heard that there's different versions of it as well, you know, having a little different details and all that. But I have only seen one version, and one can buy it, on of course, but I've seen where they talk about that this is written in Hebrew, so no other are going to read it, in regards of, you know, no unwanted eyes on it and all and so forward. But it does make sense, I think, in regards of Israel, that of course there would be conflict in regards of the Messiah. Of course there would be conflict, and you see the true believers being persecuted, and we know there was a lot of, there was a lot of believers, where I'm not sure how many, but in the book of Acts, was it like 10,000 or something like that? I can't remember, there's different translation, and I can't remember what the word is behind the text, and I can't remember if I've looked into it. I probably have looked into it, but I can't remember. But I think it's like 10,000 of believers or something like that. So there's still a lot of people actually believing that Jesus. And we also see the other book saying that 5,000 goes from Jerusalem, and it sounds like that's believing in Jesus. So at least 5,000 at that point. So yeah, it's not a small group in some sense believing that Jesus is the Messiah. It's still a okay, still an okay size of people, I think. So anyway, also in regards, I think they talk about that Mary is not a virgin. That it's they have this story of a Roman guy having sex with her and so forth. At the close of a certain Sabbath, Joseph Pandara, attractive and like a warrior in appearance, having gazed lustfully upon Miriam, knocked upon the door of her room and betrayed her by pretending that he was her betrothed husband, Yochanan. Even so, she was amazed at this improper conduct and submitted only against her will. And again, so it talks about, I think this was like a Roman soldier or something like that. Yeah. Yeah, so I think that was be the guy that was said to be the Roman guy. I think it's somewhere in here, but anyway, this led to further inquiry as to the antecedent of Yeshua, and it was discovered through Rabban Simeon ben Setar that he was the illegitimate son of Joseph Pandara. Miriam admitted it. After this became known, it was necessary for Yeshua to flee to Upper Galilee. Anyway, they slander the things, they distort the things and all that, but still, even if they distort it and so forward, it's still confirmation of the things. It seems they say it's in the year 3671, in the days of King Yaneos, a great misfortune befell Israel. Now today they will say it's 5,700 and is it 78 or 79? But that would be over 2,000 years. So there seems to be something wrong with the date here, but not sure how that works out. But Yep. Betrothed to Yochanan. They also have the name wrong, Yochanan, it seems, of the royal house of David. So they acknowledge that he is from the royal house of David, a man learned in the Torah and God-fearing. But he was named Joseph, according to our sources, not Yochanan. But he was of the line of David. So that they pretty much accept. Now actually it seems like they say he is actually a Jew, the Joseph Pandara. But anyway, you have all these weird stories of that, You have the story of the Roman having sex with Mariam and all of that. All these false stories. But it's still, again, in regards of miracles and some of the things that they're just agreeing with. So by agreeing with it, we just have another source, even if it's from the enemies in some sense of Christ. That's just, it still helps to verify that some of the things. They also have different things in regards to the disciple is. I don't think they say he has 12 disciples. So again, distorted information and all that, but still interesting nonetheless. So again, I'm not sure how much historical background there is on these things, but it's still interesting in regards of Paulus. I'm still interested in if there's any sources in regards of the Nazarenes, how they looked at Paulus. Because, of course, we have the book of Acts. It's broken, so it just talks sometimes in regards of saying that it's filled with battery and all that. It's, so it's like a speaker thing. But anyway, very annoying, actually. But I would have liked to know in regards to the Nazarenes, if the Nazarenes as well rejected Paulus later on. Because think about it, the whole Asia of Minor is said to have left Paulus, and that is in one of his own letters. I could find that for you if you want to find or want to see it, because sometimes people don't believe that Paulus is actually saying that all Asia left him. I have it over. I have one version over here. I should be able to find where it is and then look it up in the English. So. I think it's just curious as well. Where's my Bible, the other version? Oh, there. I just find it's curious that none of the Christians seems to. And actually, I read something in regards of Kierkegaard. Kierkegaard seems to have, from Denmark, seems to have had issues with Paulus as well. But it is interesting that when Paulus says that all Asia left him. Oh yeah, I found it here. That was quickly. That was nice. But it's in Danish, so I need to find it. It's in 2 Timothy. 2 Timothy. Oh, I could actually look it up on the mobile, right? Let's see. So let's go back to 2 Timothy. It's still dark. The camera pretty much goes dark because of the... and I don't have anything to the... Of course, I could sit in another place. Oh, easy. Let's just go over here, see if it can. Yep. Oh, it's not that easy. I'm on the line. I still have power to the mobile and seems to work. It seems to not close down as it did last time. So it's probably just a, what do you call it, a small charger in the charging speaker thing, whatever, that doesn't run full power, because it drained the mobile apparently. And so, what was 2 Timothy? Let's get that way. I'm just, asking questions, and these are some of the sources I haven't seen much of, and just collecting the dates, and then people can do whatever they want and look. Oh yeah, by the way, that source was, in regards to the Jewish source, was named Yeshu Toledot. Yeshu Toledot. Just out in the, let's see, Yeshu Toledot. And I had found a little in regards of it. I have heard about it before I went to Israel, but then I found a Jew also talking if I had checked that source. It is nice to talk with, Jews. I do miss that, but yeah, but we're having a t-shirt on with Jesus as God Almighty tended to make the experience a little less enjoyable than the first time. I remember the first time I was like, when I was in Israel, it was like, oh, I felt like this is what I want to do, in some sense. I really like this, and in Denmark we always have gray sky and all that, and just and it doesn't make my problems better. So it's nice to have nearly every day a blue sky like in Israel. Very nice. 2 Timothy, what? 1:1:6. Oh, there we need to chapter 1. We need to get another version. And I'm getting... See, here we have Paulus. It should be Paulus, right? Yeah, Paulus. Paulos in Greek, Paulus. So again, it's when they say Paul, it's a little distorted. But of course, his name was Shaul. Paulus, an apostle of Jesus Christ, he says, by the will of God, because he didn't get his gospel from any man. You know, he didn't get it from the apostles down in Jerusalem. Anyway, so we are going to 15. Now, of course, I've even had people trying to get a... I think some of the most dishonest people sometimes, is you really have to be careful. That's for sure. It's like you're getting into a nut house when you get into Christianity. It's really it's wow. It's really also when I was in Jerusalem, I was like, at some point I really felt, why am I here? There's like total nut house, something seemed wrong. Anyway, I also pretty much felt pretty oppressed at the night. Of course, there's worldly things going on in Jerusalem as any other city. Well, actually, in the old city, there's all these satanic things, idols, images, whatever, amulets, whatever for this and that. Well, yeah, it's just, oh boy, Okay, this is Paulus or Shaul, or according to the Hebrew source, it seems like he was called Simeon Kephan or something like that. But anyway, I don't know about that, but and I don't think we can check it either way. Maybe some sources out there that would spring up, but oh yeah, by the way, I've gotten a new headlight. Very nice. I don't really like the light in regards of the other one I had that broke, because it broke. It was like, can't live without a headlight. It is a little more slippery on the thing here, but I don't think I think it has less destruction of the cap, but I don't really care about that in some sense, as long as it stays up there. And the other one just, hangs a little better, actually a lot better maybe. But it had a way of sticking into the cap, and it, as you can see here, it made a little thing in the cap, but probably also actually that made it actually stick, even better to the cap. This thingy here is less destructive, but it's also less. It's easier to. But of course, it's not a big problem. It's a little. It's less. It's less. What do you call it? It's a centimeter smaller, and it's a little over 10 grams less of weight. So when you do this, it has less issue of taking the cap with it. So that's nice. That's nice. But the light itself is too white, The other one was a little more yellow in it. But anyway, that still works. It's nice to have some light and all that. But still, yeah. Would have been nice to have but I got the yellow version in some sense, and or the lesser. But still, it's still a cool light. So anyway, let's go back to Paulus. Doesn't matter, just. This thou knowest, that all they which are in Asia, that would be Asia Minor, that is the big place in the world at that point of time where Christianity is just, growing. Asia proper, or proconsular Asia, embracing Mysia, Lydia, Phrygia, and Caria, corresponding closely to Turkey today. Yeah. So, and then we know Paul also was in that area, and he also talks to, there's other letters where he's talking in regards of these places. But anyway, so all they which are in Asia be turned away from me, of whom are Phygelus and Hermogenes. So what is Paul saying here? This thou knowest, that all which are in Asia be turned away from me, of whom are Phygelus and Hermogenes. So which, what, that, who, which, yeah. So as I understand it, I think it's pretty clear, and most people understand it the same. Only when people have problems with it, because why would they leave the apostle, the great apostle Paulus? And why would they actually leave him when Apostle John, who walked with Jesus, Apostle Philip, who walked with Jesus, slept with Jesus, ate with Jesus, and so forth, both of them was in the area? Because we know Philip was in that area, he died in that area. We know John was in that area. I don't know if there was any others, but probably a lot of disciples as well in that area from Jerusalem, or so why would all Asia leave Paulus? And the funny thing is, in the book of Revelation, of course, that is from Jesus, we have a lot of pointers to it as well. I think there's a lot of good pointers for Paulus and the Catholic Church being exposed. But anyway, let's see here. But that's my, I cannot lie about things, what I see and all that. But I think if you begin to take all the pieces, it just begins to fit pretty good. And fits actually very good. Here we go. We know that Paul was teaching in Ephesus around 3 years or something like that. So unto the messenger of the church of Ephesus write, these things said he that holdeth the 7 stars in his right hand, who walketh in the midst of the 7 golden candlesticks. I know thy works, and thy labor, and thy patience, and how thou cannot bear them which are evil. And thou hast tried them which say they are apostles, and are not, and hast found them liars. So there was some in Ephesus calling themselves apostles, and they tested them. Well, why is it actually? Usually they actually say they actually tested them, and are not, and has tested them, has hit to me to after searching. Yeah, okay. So they don't really have the searching thing in regards to, but in the Danish translation, you have tested them and found them liars. So how did they test them? By the word of God, most likely. Checking if things are, But there were some apostles apparently that needed to be tested to be found liars. So they're probably very slick, in some sense. They're probably very hard to they needed some testing, found them liars and all that. So it's just a funny coincidence maybe that all Asia left Paulus. I don't know. I would think that it's, apparently in the 1st century already people had problems with Paulus. Wonder why. Now, of course, we also get into the doctrine of eating food sacrificed to idols, of course. And Paulus, of course, we can find promoting that is no problem and so forward. But then we go to the book of Acts, and 3 times the Gentiles are told not to eat food sacrificed to idols. Then we go to this book in regards of Jesus. He's rebuking 2 times where it's visible. I think the other times may be less, less out in your eyes. But two times is pretty visible. I think that he's, and you just take all the pieces and just seems to fit. I think. But this thou hast, that thou hatest the deeds of the Nicolaitans, which are also hated. In regards of the Nicolaitans, I know there's something in regards of being, but I think the Nicolaitans, those are those that conquer. So I would think that is actually still going on today. Okay, they say it's destruction of people. A sect mentioned in Revelation 2:6 and 2:15, who were charged with holding the arrow of Balaam, casting a stumbling block before the church of God by upholding the liberty of eating things sacrificed to idols, as well as committing fornication. But it seems to be actually the same doctrine. In regards of eating meat, it seems to be actually fornicating with false gods. But anyway, then the question is, who promoted that you could eat anything and everything without any issue because we have this understanding? Who was it? Who was it? I know someone that did that. He was called Paulus or Shaul. Anyway, so I think actually that was the doctrine that really settled me. I need to look on my Facebook because it, just many things, but I had really many problems with, but it's just easier to just reject Paulus and just walk the line with the other things. Here we go in regards of, this is to what church? Anyway, I don't know what church it is at the moment, but let's just take. But I have a few things against thee, because thou hast there them that uphold the doctrine of Balaam, who taught Balak to cast a stumbling block before the children of Israel, to eat things sacrificed to idols or false gods. I'm not sure what they use of word here in regards of the... okay, they use it idol here, okay. Idolototon, okay. So unto idols and to commit fornication. I think because it says it is in regards of the doctrine. So hast thou also them that hold the doctrine. It seems like it's singular, but again, I don't know Greek, but it seems like it's singular, of the Nicolaitans, which thing I hate. So I think it seems like it's one main doctrine. So that's one of the places. Then we have the next one. I think it should be here. That is the messenger of the church in Thyatira. Let's see. Notwithstanding, I have a few things against thee, because thou sufferest that woman Jezebel. And the funny thing is, Jesus is using things from the Old Testament. Isn't it funny? If people think that, oh yeah, it's old, we don't need to read that anymore, and blah, 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 Against, because thou suffered that woman Jezebel, which calleth herself a prophetess, to teach and to seduce my servants to commit fornication and to eat things sacrificed unto idols. And I gave her space to repent of her fornication, and she repented not. Behold, I will cast her into a bed, and them that commit adultery with her into great tribulation, except they repent of their deeds. And I will kill her children with death, and all the churches shall know that I am he which searcheth the reins and the hearts, and I will give unto every one of you according to your works. So we also have works, But anyway, so they also call it, the doctrine, and which have not known the depths of Satan. As they speak, I will put upon you none other burden. Oh, anyway, so depths of Satan, apparently it's called. But of course we have Paulus, promoting doctrine of eating. That's no problem. Just buy it at the market. Don't ask about it. If you're invited by pagans, just go with them. No worries. Just whatever. If you are sitting in the temple, pagan temple, eating meat, just don't be seen by those, weak brothers from Jerusalem, because they may, when they see you eating it, they may think that it's okay and eat with you. And then because of their weak consciousness, they will, they will fall. So he's making this, so if anything makes my brother lose this and that, I will not eat. But so it's like a hypocritical thing. Like, if there's anyone down from Jerusalem that knows about these things, I'm not going to, excuses in some sense. I'm not going to eat anything that is sacrificed to a false god. But if they're not around, oh yeah, let's just go eat anything and everything without any problem. That's not what the council in Jerusalem says. That's not what Jesus says and all that. And then you have to question, well, who are we going to follow after? Are we going to follow after Paul or Paulus, or are we going to follow Jesus and the Christians in Jerusalem? That's how I see it anyway. You don't have to agree with it. I've shown some of the sources I have. Of course, one could go to Paul, but most, you can just read Paul's letters and you can find it. But of course, you can find one of the places where he actually says he doesn't want us to eat at the table of demons. But Paul has a way of just saying, he's not, he can be over here and he can be over here, and and then people just read him and just take whatever they want for their support for their own doctrine. So, but one time he actually tells the truth, that he don't want to have that we are eating, but the rest of the times he's just promoting this doctrine of eating everything and anything. So yeah, that's pretty much. I think I'm pretty much over. Yep, not sure if I have any food, but at least it also looks like it's charging now. I should get. I lost connection now. In regards of. Oops. Then. Anyway. So I should actually also get reading that book about the Nazarenes, but I do find it in the beginning of the Nazarene book, he start out saying that the Nazarenes didn't have any problems with Paulus, and I'm like, could you please give me some evidence for that? Because, of course you could go to the New Testament and all that, but what about later on? Because think about it, if all Asia leaves Paul, and all Asia have connection with the Jerusalem church, and two apostles at least, well, something is going on here, because if they accepted Paul, they could just have told those people in Asia Minor, well, no, Paul is okay, you just don't reject him, So, but again, the whole of Asia, which is like the huge Christian, what do you call it, the new blooming place for Christians in some sense, the big place for Christianity. Well, why would they reject Paulus? And why do they continue to keep Passover according to the Jews, or actually according to Jehovah's calendar? Why would they do that? Well, maybe because they are still thinking that they should keep the commandments of God. And they have probably also kept the Sabbath and the rest of the feast days. I'm not sure if there's information on that. In regards to the Sabbath, I see information about that. I think I saw something in regards of Sukkot, but I can't remember that source. But it would make sense. It would absolutely make sense that they did. There's no reason why they shouldn't do it. If they keep Passover according to the Jews, they'll probably keep the rest according to the Bible and not according to Rome's traditions. Antichrist in Rome, that's pretty much make everything, it's, Easter coming, promoting Easter, promoting Christ Mass, promoting Halloween. Christ Mass is a holy day of the Catholic Church. The Catholics are commanded, as I understand it, to go to church for the Mass, because it's Christ Mass. Then they go to see the so-called Pope, the so-called Holy Father, for example, being shown in television as well in a Protestant country. Who cares about seeing that the Antichrist thinking to make the cookie Jesus by some hocus pocus word. And then he thinks he make the literal body, blood, soul, and sinews and so forth of Jesus Christ in a little round cookie Jesus, and allowed to bow before it and adore it and worship it. That's idolatry. Yeah, I'm anatomized from Rome. Yay. Of course, that's not a bad thing, when you're standing on truth. Who cares about what the horse says, down from Rome? Who cares what that filthy church system tells you? If they're not going by the Bible, we don't go with them, It's the same with Daniel and Daniel's companions, The king said, when you hear these musical instruments and so forth and all that, you bow down to that golden idol. What did the 3 Jews do? No. We don't bow down to that idol because we have a law that is above your law, and that's Jehovah's laws, our God. Daniel did the same thing, right? He also did it, The king said, "Oh, the king signed this paper by the people that made a conspiracy against Daniel to get him, But Daniel went in to pray to Jehovah as always 3 times a day, and they got him on that, but God saved him from the lions, and they threw all the other people in the lion den because of what they did, because they also lied to the king as well when they came in, because I don't think they asked Daniel about it, so they were deceiving the king and lying to him in regards of catching Daniel, which didn't succeed. But again, even if the law was written and probably Daniel had read it and heard about it afterwards, well, he did still went in to pray to his God. So when the law of man goes against the law of Jehovah, we are to stand on the law of Jehovah. That's just how it is. And we don't care about what the Antichrist says down in Rome. When it's wrong and it's not biblical, he can just jump in the ocean for himself and eat his own cookie Jesus, Why would we take part in that when it's not biblical? Of course, we don't take part in that. And a lot of people didn't want to take part in that. And a lot of people got killed and persecuted and tortured because of that. And, and burning Bibles and the Word of God and persecuting the saints. There's only one institution that seems to be, fitting for all the things, so that is Rome and the Antichrist in Rome. So, of course, we have the Mohammedans again. That's a subject I need to find out. Because, again, in regards to the Nestorians, or in regards to the Catholics, if in regards of who affected Muhammad, because, we have one Jesuit source that says to be Jesuit. At least he knew a lot of things, that's for sure. Exposing a lot of things in regards to the Catholic system. And he said that he had this story, heard this story about how Rome actually created Mohammedanism to use it for killing the true believers. It wouldn't be a surprise at all, of course, because the Roman Church wants to have absolute power, of course, and we know that they had issues with the Christians in Asia Minor from the very beginning, in some sense, by not agreeing with the doctrines of the Bible. So what do you do? Well, if you can get a man up and make him as a so-called prophet and, use the sword of the Mohammedans to kill off, well, that would pretty much work. But of course, I've heard that it actually was Nestorians and it was not Catholics that actually affected Muhammad. So one thing to actually check on that would actually be in regards of checking the doctrines in the Quran in regards of the Nestorians' doctrine and the Catholics' doctrines. Because in regards of Mary, it seems they have a lot of things that are in common with the Catholics, at least. So that would, of course, point to the Catholics actually, actually verifying the story of this Jesuit guy that's said to be a Jesuit and came out of it, the Society of Satan. But anyway, it's something one could research. I'm not sure if I have time for it at some point to do it. But it would be interesting. It would absolutely, if it actually verifies this guy, that would be interesting. Because I have seen a Mohammedan, for example, also talk about the similarities. Oh, not only a Mohammedan, I've heard also Christians talking about the similarities between Mohammedanism and Catholicism. It actually seemed nearly to be the same coin with two sides of the same coin in some sense. And of course, the Antichrist would be the so-called Pope. He would be the head of the whole system, of course. But every place or every everything leads back to Rome. It seems Rome. Communism, Nazism. You just go to Latin America. All roads leads to Rome. All the filthiness, lies and Latin and all that leads to Rome. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Mohammedans actually was created by, or the Mohammedan religion was actually created by Rome or Roman Catholicism. It wouldn't be a surprise at all. Now, I don't know if that is the case, but it wouldn't surprise me. Having a great tool to slay all the believers in those areas, all the Christians, persecute all the true Christians. Oh yeah. So it's sad, but Satan has a way of, making war, killing people, and making his things, and it's sad. It's very sad. Rome hasn't changed. People think Rome has changed. Rome has not changed. He's still the greatest political entity in the world, making her, making her, I'm not sure what the word is. So, but it seems like all the Protestants are not seemingly Protestants anymore and don't protest anymore. I think we should wake up, people, and find out who is actually the great whore in this world, where the Antichrist is. Seemingly, the Protestants have just, how can the Lutherans give an apology for the Romanists for just exposing all their lies, Of course, I'm not saying that Luther didn't have issues, because I think he did. But, he was pretty good at exposing the Catholic system, that's for sure. And of course, he was a Catholic himself, And he found out that there was issues with it. I actually have... I'm listening to Brother York at the moment, and he's reading on books, some wonderful books on that subject. So he has a lot of material, like hours of material of good books. Now, of course, he still have some issues. You can always find issues, but there are some issues that I don't agree with him. But I think we are pretty much on the same level on many, many, many things. So I really love that. I really love when people are looking for truth and seeking it, and even if there's some things I don't agree with, So he was talking about the Earth being flat and all that. At least I don't agree with that. I think the evidence points to the Earth being round, but. So he was going a little into that. So there were some other things but I've talked to him about it, and at least he knows my views on that. So we shouldn't. Now it may not be the what do you call it? You know, it may not be the thing that makes friends when you know, but at least so I'm not deceiving him and being a, yeah, just, yeah, not saying what I believe and all that. But anyway, so try to be so as most, what I call, forthcoming as possible. So so people know where you stand, so they can make up their own mind if they want to accept it or not. You know, if they, yeah. So, but he makes you know, some very very good videos out there on you know, in regards of from books which usually people don't read anymore. You know, from older books. And history of the Reformation. That's the things I'm studying into now, and I already know some of the things already, being studying it before. But it's nice to just get you know, some of the articles I've researched itself, and yeah, it's just wonderful. And it's just, you know, you can sometimes listen to it over and over again in some sense, some of it, where it's like, oh, it's just wonderful. It's just, oh, you just love the truth, you know, just love some people speaking the truth in a world where people are just running with lies and deceptions. Just give me the truth. Oh yeah, give me the truth. Oh yeah, I don't care if it offends or whatever. Just give me the truth. You know. Anyway, it's the same with, you know, we have so much deception in today in regards of hard drives not having the amount that actually is pointed at. In regards of batteries, not having the amount it should have. In regards of, I had 3 things on my Facebook I wrote, was like, but you know, so many things where they are not telling the truth. They are deceiving the people buying them. You know, oh, you get a battery from this. Oh yeah, SD cards as well, where you have deceivers out there as well, where they write the wrong. You know, the world is full of liars and deceivers, and you know, selling things which are just a scam. It's lying. It's deception, and it's satanic. You know, it's a sin. It's transgression of the law of God. It's and it's filled with it. It's filled every. You know, it's just. Oh, I remember the days, the good old days with when IBM actually sold hard drives, which actually had all those gigabytes that it promised. But you don't find that today. Hard drives don't have those gigabytes that or the storage that it actually proclaims, and they are allowed to do it. That was why I actually bought the IBM hard drives in the many years ago. The so-called Death Stars, because they tended to die sadly. So IBM sold their hard drive to, what is it, Hatisha or something like that. Hatisha. Anyway, it's very sad because, you know, it's they were actually, you know, actually the ones actually doing the right thing in regards of how much storage there actually was. But yeah, so no, as I understand it, every single company of hard drives today deceive people. And actually also in regards to the memory cards, even if they actually, you know, have the right amount, but actually it doesn't have the right amount, it's still deceptive. So yeah, we're living in a world with lies and deceptions everywhere around us. You know, you look at batteries, a battery says this and that and all that, and yeah, well, how many, you know, just a lot of, you know, so many times you can buy batteries and it's not really, you know, it's not following what it says. Oh well. Anyway, do I have anything more to add? I don't think so. We didn't really go into the we didn't take the medicine chest thing, but the medicine chest, the Panarian thing does have in regards of the Nazarenes and the Ebionites, and talking about them. The Jewish guy in regards to the video is also really good, that I showed earlier. Well, I didn't show the video, but I showed what is, you know, the top video that was on my, let's see if we can find it. But that's actually also very good in regards of exposing some things, you know. And again, you know, there was some issue I remember from it. But again, you know, eat the meat, spit out the bones. How the church fathers invented Christianity. That's the one. And, you know, you just see all the researchers that have done research and just throw the early church, who are the Ebionites. What is the Nazarene Acts again? That was you know, you have to be careful, but again, there's still some sources that are you know, nice to go by. So that's pretty much it. At least we're getting closer to the truth, and that's. I just don't understand why people want to continue and Christians that should have the spirit of truth in them and continue to keep Christmas and Easter and Halloween and all those other pagan festivals and the Sunday so-called holy. Well, it's only holy from the Antichrist, of course, because it has nothing to do with holy according to the Bible. That's the last day. You just get annoyed with all the lies and Latin, and also in regards to the Mohammedans as well. You know, this lying, deceptive filthiness, as is from Eric John Phelps. He has some, I think, is he a flat Earth promoter as well? I can't remember, but he is a promoter in regards of the nuclear bombs being. Not that you can't drop a nuclear bomb and all that, and I don't think that seems reasonable. But anyway, that's some weird idea, but he has some good stuff for sure. But again, you just have to be careful, because there are a lot of Jesuits out there, and they are very clever. Some of the most clever people are Catholics in the world. The problem is when these clever people use their cleverness and education to deceive the people. That's the problem. And when they infiltrate groups and, you know, corrupt from the inside and get their own doctrines on the table and this and, you know, just, yeah, the Antichrist, as I see it, to the best of my ability, you know, that's the so-called Pope. That's the Roman Caesar. Who's the Roman Caesar? The Roman Caesar is the so-called Pope, the so-called Holy Father. You know, he has, you know, he's setting himself up as the authority of the whole world. So, and it didn't seem like it clicked with the false Jehovah's Witnesses. But it's just a deception, I think. You know, when I found out, you know, you don't believe that Jesus is Jehovah, but you're calling yourself Jehovah's Witnesses. So already in the word of calling yourself Jehovah's Witnesses, you're actually lying. You know, okay, that's just too much for me. You know, just get away from me in some sense. I don't think I'm going to get anything from a deceiver. You know, how can you continue to be in this? You know, the thing is, you lay so many, what do you call it? I hate to use these, what do you call it, parables or something in regards of cards and all that. But you lay all these cards down on the table for the person to see, to help him in the, you're giving him it freely, something that, you know, you have, yeah, what you have researched and used a lot of time to find out, you're putting it on the table for the person, and yet they will reject whatever because they have this cult that they are following. I don't know, just so, which cannot be supported from history. It cannot be supported from anywhere in regards of history. You know, if it was anything, it was heretics that believed that Jesus was not God. Oh, yeah. So I would, you know, I just, you know, oh, so sad. So here we can see I was like the Second Empire and the Phalanx Law, the War of 1870. That's number 7 that I have done that, and another one I have. So I need to download some of the others, but I have just downloaded over here. I don't usually, uninstall this program, but it's the only program I know that just works. But it has a lot of spyware in it and all that. So, but it's just, it can download a lot of things really efficiently. So I ended up installing it again, but I really don't like that it's, you know, has so much. But you can easily download things from YouTube, so you don't have to have the radiation when you listen to things. You can just turn the mobile off so there's no radiation, and then you can listen to it. But here we have the Reformation Truth in History. This is Joggler66 on YouTube. I can recommend that absolutely. Still have some issues here and there, but you know, we're still, you know, we all have issues. So, but he's listening to some good books and all that, you know, reading some good books of things that exposes the Antichrist. William Tyndale and Martin Luther, Truth in History 2, and Martin Luther's view on the Antichrist, pre-1520 understanding. I listened to those 3 yesterday. I need to listen to the number 3 again, I think. Shouted from the Roof, Martin Luther's view on Antichrist 2. Not sure if that is number 2 of number 2. It's a little hard sometimes to find out if Luther's Bull of Excommunication, the false church is always the persecutor of the true church. Yeah, sounds pretty true. Luther's Antichrist theology was the result of biblical analysis. Free Christian German against the Roman papacy, an institution of the devil, I would think here. What I have thought of the Pope, the damned Antichrist. If there is a hell, then Rome is built on it. We shall and should be the Pope's judge, and no one shall stop us. Emperor's Photes, Pope Benefice III, and the 12,060-day year prophecy. I'm still not sure in regards to the 1260 years day prophecy. There are some numbers both in the book of Revelation and the book of Daniel. I'm not sure if that is actually in regards of what they say it is, but they use a year for a day, and then they say the Vatican was in power for. But I'm not sure if that is actually what is actually. I need more research on that, but I do understand people actually, you know, the more you learn, the more you can begin to, what do you call it, nail down, and then you know maybe, okay, there's 2 options here, and the question is which option is correct, but you still have it in, you know, you're continuing to research so you can try to. But what are prayer and God's word to the Pope? And we have a lot of filthiness from that church, you know. They're calling the word of God this, what do you call it, this snake, and they need to take it again to make it into like a staff again in their hand. And, you know, there's so many filthy things. There's no possible, you know, in regards of the Catholic Church being, of the Roman Catholic Church being Christian, you know. It's just, and you know, all those things that they say and do is just so wicked, you know. It's just so not biblical. It is just so opposite what the Bible says. What God, Christ, Church, world, and lawyers compared to the Pope. The Pope probably thinks the Holy Spirit is tied to Rome. The Pope belongs to the court of hell, and the torment on earth would be too mild. Why don't they ask God's word and true preachers? No says as Pope farts, faith does nothing. What should the Pope and his God, the devil, care about the welfare of souls? The whole world is at liberty to care nothing for the Pope and to ignore him. So you see, that's a lot of good titles here. And it's, I think it was like 20 something. But this is from the list of Jörg or Joggler 66. I don't know in regards to the 66, but the 66 I would think because of 66 books in the Bible. But of course I don't really like, you know, I have problems with Paul, so I try to keep away from Paul. But anyway, but good stuff, and I think he still uses Paul and all that. And again, it's I don't think he has realized that there might be something wrong with Paul. Again, in regards of Luther, if Luther stopped using Paulus to quote him all at the time, that would be something to research for myself at some point. Would be interesting if that is really the case, that Luther might actually maybe have realized something was maybe wrong with Paulus. So yeah. Anyway, something to dig into. There's a lot of history I don't know, but it's nice that things are getting that we are getting some truthers to do. And he has Joggler66 have another brother that makes the video things on some of the videos for him. That's very nice. And so it's just, it's wonderful. Just wonderful. Oh, have some more, let's have some truth. Oh yeah, just promote truth. Let's have some more lights in this world promoting truth. Oh, that would be lovely. That would be wonderful. And we would really like that. Instead of all the lies and the, let's have some more people stand for truth. That would be wonderful, because the world needs it. The world needs more truth. And the shepherds apparently has just been silent. They don't tell anything in regards of the Antichrist, in regards of the system, the abominable system of the... Yeah, there's nothing good to say. Well, at least not something that comes to mind in regards of any good thing in regards to that system, So, as I understand it, the last book of Luther, should also be in here, in regards of him reading it. And he comes with his own things as well, and he knows. It seems like he has read a lot of books on the subject, so that's very nice. So, yeah. And the thing is, probably the people in the old days knew more than him in regards of history, but we have just forgotten. We have just apparently lost all that history. They probably knew a lot more of history. Well, compared to everybody in this world, I think in regards to the Reformation, I think they knew a lot more history than we knew, in regards of more truth and so forth. We have lost so much, that we don't hear anymore. And if we hear about anything, it's the adulterated version of the Romanism, where they make their own version and incorporate it in their own system, which is not based on truth. I heard they also trying to do that with Luther now. That's just, it's so sad. So instead of, it seems to be the best way to break the animal, or whatever you call it, is to make it your own and then fix your own story in some sense. I've seen that and it seems to be a trick of Satan as well. What was it called? The reformer or the believer, the disciple of Christ in, was it Ireland or something like that? And the Catholic Church just made the guy his own and their own history. So if you want to really know what he actually believed, there was a letter from him as well. But anyway, there's so much to research out there, so much information, and it's how anyone can be a Catholic is just beyond my understanding. Shouldn't be that difficult, but apparently it is, to see that something is terrible wrong. Anyway, I think I'll stop now. The mobile is also pretty much close to what do we call it, turning off. Shouldn't be that far off before turning off. I shouldn't make, there's a lot of things I should make. And I should probably do like York do. York, instead of making all these long videos, York make an hour of a time. And that's probably better. And then just to read some material and and put it on Facebook instead of just speaking and speaking. But I like speaking, you know. I like talking, you know. That's I'm good at talking, I think. But of course, yeah. Bye bye, everybody. It's turning off. Shabbat.